Who am I and what's my role? My name is Coach B. Government name, Brian Turner. You can call me Coach B. I'm the head of basketball operations at SFA Academy, Strong Faith Academy in Dover. Is where we get down at, you know what I mean? What was my inspiration to do what I do? I've always loved the game, you know what I'm saying? I've been a student of the game. You know how you don't know what you're going to be, and God made me a student of basketball, you know what I'm saying? So I've been watching, been a part of it, been breathing it since day one. I go as far back as just being that kid in front of the TV, loving to see Magic Johnson, loving to see that ball bounce, loving to see the ball go through the net. So I've been all my life, I'm a lifer. I mean, if it bounces, I'm there. Man, the type of players I would like to develop is the hungry, the by any means necessary. Is talent a part of it? Absolutely. Is IQ and all those tangible things a part of it? Absolutely. But I'm not looking for that. If just give me the want to, I'm gonna show up. I don't care what your skill set is. All you gotta do is show me that's what you want. I'll be there to help you develop, to help you along your ride, no matter what. The goal for the team as we prepare for our next tournament is to get better knowing each other, get better understanding the goals, get better understanding the concepts and the objectives we have as a coaching staff. Learn to play together, learn to play with your new skills, putting it all together, man. I wish it was overnight, but it's a process. I could lose 100 games in a row and everybody's getting better. So, do I evaluate wins and losses to a degree? I always have this conversation with the coaches. What do we value more, guys getting to the next level or winning games? It's a balance. We want to win because wins and losses is what people remember. But really, if I could lose every game and every kid in my program go to college, I'm a winner. Discipline is very important when you're putting something together. It don't matter if it's basketball, anything. You got to have a discipline to it if you're looking for something to be great. So I expect everybody to be locked in. We set the expectations from coaching all the way down to the janitor. You know what I'm saying? And we just have our expectation is this is what you want. This is why you're here. So let's get it. The beautiful thing is about it is I've been a driver the whole process. So I don't mind driving. I got a van. I scoop kids. We can hit whatever gym we need to hit, whatever tournament. Parents participate when needed to help carpool kids. It's very important though, because you don't want to leave no kid left behind because of no ride. You know what I'm saying? So, but it takes communication though. You gotta string it together through group meets or group chats. Stay transparent on what is needed to be successful, and then you want to bring in the right people, the people that really want to keep guys together no matter what and do their part. The challenges of coaching kids from different backgrounds is a lot of challenges, man. I think more now than ever you have to really pay attention to mental health. I kid with my coaches all the time with psychologists, psychiatrists, social workers. You could tell a kid has things going on at home based on what you see every day. So if I see a change in personality, I start to ask the questions of everything good. And obviously, everybody in my era grew up where you don't talk about your business in the street. You know what I mean? From the crib, you keep the crib in the crib. So obviously, you could tell when a kid going through something. I don't mind reaching out to a parent just to let them know I see it. They may want to get some help. Because you want these kids to stay in the right state of mind, but it's a lot going on, man. So many different things they're a part of. The social media, the internet, the who likes what, who didn't like this. So you just got to be very mindful of how the player, the kid is acting on a day-to-day basis. If you see them become withdrawn a little bit, if he's an out spirit, and you see him kind of clam up and become a little not really communicating much, that's an alarm. That's a sign. You know what I'm saying? And then if the opposite, if he kind of quiet, and he's yap, all of a sudden, you might want to check into that. So you just got to check the temperature of your kids. Some of the biggest obstacles the teams has faced while getting ready for tournament, I would say, is just being present. You know, a lot of things go on in the summertime, so you also get a lot of kids in and out. So you try to coordinate things based on their vacation in the summertime to make sure everybody's on the same page with where to be. And you do the best you can. Obviously, it's not a perfect science, but I think communicating, laying it out as early as possible, giving it a infrastructure of what your expectations are of the kids and where to be at. I think those things help along the way. This group is a little different in the sense of um, they're so driven by the social media. They're so driven by the highlight. It's born to be fundamental now. It's born to be basic, simple. I would think that's the biggest challenge is just letting them know simplicity is successful at this level. Just keeping it simple, man. You ain't got to do all that. Just be solid. And as long as everybody knows their role and their job, it makes it a little bit easier to get to that success. Um, my coaching has impacted these kids and really impacted their lives in ways where just being a part of our program, you see a lot of kids go from this introvert kid who really doesn't like to communicate, really doesn't feel self-confidence or self-worth, join our program and become an individual where you never knew that they were even that way. They walk with their chest up and their chin up after they leave our program. They feel a self-worth, not as basketball players per se, but as a young man that's been given appropriate nourishment to breed success in his own life and whatever his endeavors are. So just confidence. I think that's the major thing we want to bring to the table. It's like you do exist. You can think. You are a person. You know what I'm saying?
You've been a successful as a coach.
So every tournament, man, I reflect and kind of equate success on a few elements. Did we have fun? Did they learn something? Did they get better? Um, Obviously, those have nothing to do with wins and losses. So just checking the temperature of where we're at mentally. Do guys leave the floor feeling like they contribute? If those elements are hit, it makes me feel like I was successful in getting my message across for that particular tournament. Hard work, dedication, determination, focus, discipline. Um, those are some of the characteristics I hope that they take with them along this experience of playing basketball with Coach B and my staff. And just being a good person, man. Being a person that's honest and upfront and willing to sacrifice and do whatever they need to do to be a good person, a good teammate, and whatever role they take on in life. I hope people remember this team for this year and beyond. This was the team that was put together when the Knicks won it in five. You know what I'm saying? This was the team that was put together when the parade happened in New York City. So they'll always be able to kind of draw on that. We was together when that happened. It took us 53 years, and then now we are part of that moment. You know what I'm saying? So just they'll never forget that. Where was you 53? When the Knicks won. I was with the team Gritty, man. I was with these guys over here. My advice is I would give to my advice that I would give to young coaches that really want to make an impact on young lives in this game is just to be patient, man. Be patient. Maturity is a tricky thing. Everybody's not on the same page when it comes to maturity, so you got to kind of understand the environment, and you got to be patient, man. You got to be willing to communicate. You got to be transparent with parents, and you just got to be, you got to come willing to work every day. You can't take no days off. You know what I'm saying? So you just got to know that, man. And if you ain't all in, don't do it. You can't. This is not the type of job you do halfway, because some people could see a halfway kind of coach. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be all in, and then you got to be willing to be patient, man. Especially if you're doing a lot of teaching. That don't happen overnight. Success doesn't happen overnight. So I said my major word would be patience. Be very patient.
My name is Mike Wiley. I am the assistant regional coach at SFA Strong Faith Athletics, as well as the head of strength and conditioning. We spend a lot of time in the weight room. We spend a lot of time working on the bodies. A lot of people focus so much on the drills and the skills, but for me, I think the most important thing is making sure that they can stay ready and always be ready for any opportunity, any adversity, or whatever the case may be. So. Well, I actually was never a fan of the game at first. I liked football a whole lot. It wasn't until around my freshman year, I saw my brother playing a lot. He trained a lot, and then my dad, he was ex-military, so he just had a super discipline. I didn't start becoming really enamored with the game until I started watching players like Derrick Rose, high flyers, and things like that, and it kind of made me understand that you can transition this into the game. And so it made me start wanting to coach was my understanding, because I had the opportunity to get to the D1 level. I went to Florida Gulf Coast my freshman year of college, and I had the opportunity to see how many kids are missing certain drills, certain training regimens, and things like that. And I just wanted to come back and give that to the kids. I had the rationale in my mind of I can make myself work really hard to get to college and make it through college and get to the pros, whether it's overseas or whether it's G League or the league, or I can help thousands of kids get to where they want to go, because a lot of kids don't get the opportunity to see these types of things, and our staff is able to show them things that they've never seen before. This basketball program means everything to me, because ultimately they're the ones that gave me a chance. I had the opportunity for this to be my first time being the head of strength and conditioning. I had the opportunity for me to work with a group of kids that actually believed in my training with my own imprint on them. And I've seen the way that they've been able to grow. I've seen the way that they've been able to relate to certain types of things. And I've really seen the way that they've taken to not just me, but also the discipline that I've instilled in this program from the strength and conditioning aspect. The one thing that I hope that people see when they watch our team play is the resiliency, the ability for them to get knocked down and get back up, the ability for them to fight through adversity, learn through the adversity in real time, because a lot of people, and especially in the coaching, we can, call a spade a spade. If a kid isn't playing well, they sit them and they'll say, hey, we'll try again tomorrow. We want to be that program that gives them the opportunity in real time to learn and stay in the game even when they mess up, and have the opportunity to actually show people that they're not scared, that they're not frightened, that they're there for every single challenge, and ultimately that they're supposed to be on the court, that they belong on the court. So. I think the main goal for our team as we prepare for this next tournament is just to get them to understand how much they've grown, how much they've evolved as players and as humans. Ultimately, it's been a long season, and this tournament is one of those tournaments that they can see how much they've grown from the work, the practice, the conditioning, the strength work that they've been doing on their own and even with the team, and just letting them understand that a lot of the things that they're doing are going to be different now compared to the beginning of the season, because they've been doing a lot of work, so I'm proud of them. I think some of the biggest challenges that these kids face before they even step on the basketball court is the phone. You know, a lot of times they spend so much time on social media, spend so much time comparing themselves, spend so much time being like they have this and I don't, and it kind of tears down their confidence because, you know, comparison is the thief of joy. So I think even before they get on the court, they kind of see these kids in certain tournaments. They've seen their highlights and things like that, and they're like, well, I can't compare to that. I can't do those types of things. And so I try to get them to understand that, hey, a lot of stuff that's on the gram is smoke and mirrors. It's not real. It's them taking their highlights and not showing their lowlights. So you might be focused on your lowlights and not looking at your highlights on the game, and it creates this environment of maybe I'm not ready, maybe I'm not good enough. And I really try to reassure them before they even step on the court that you are enough, that you deserve to be here, that you belong, and it doesn't matter what they've done in the past, what type of success they've had on the past. It's 0-0 when we get in between those four lines. I think the biggest obstacles our team have had with preparing for this tournament is sometimes the lack of experience. You know, sometimes these tournaments, especially when they're bigger tournaments, they can startle some of the kids, give them a little bit of, you know, confidence issues, a little bit of insecurity, performance anxiety, whatever the case may be. But I think ultimately we can bypass that by our preparation. And I think that's one thing that I tell the kids all the time. Preparation stands, you know, there's three things that are really, really important and vital in preparation. It's confidence. Well, that bring you confidence is preparation, skill set, and experience. If you don't have the experience and you don't have the skill set, then what can we rely on? The way that we prepare, what time we go to sleep, what time we eat, all of these different types of things. And I think this specific tournament is going to be a good litmus test to see if these guys are prepared on and off the court. Looking back, I feel like I view success from a perspective of, does this kid feel like he belongs on this court? Because ultimately, I think a lot of kids can, you know, focus on stats, focus on wins, focus on losses, focus on performance, but belonging is ultimately what a basketball player is. You don't say a basketball player is somebody that puts on a jersey or scores a bunch of shots, because anybody can do that. But if you feel like you belong in this game, I think that's true success, because what you've shown yourself is hard work, dedication, discipline, communication, being around people, building chemistry is something that you can actually do in between these four lines. Because a lot of people don't have the ability to do that, and they might be on winning teams. They might be having great stats, but they still don't know how to have good communication with their teammates. They still don't build good chemistry, or they still might not feel like they belong. So ultimately, that's what I think success is for those kids, feeling that level of success through belonging. The advice that I would give somebody that's trying to get into this field is that you just got to show up every single day. Show up. Whether you like it or not, whether you feel good or not, show up. Because the more that you show up, the more that you can understand what these kids need. If you're not there, you come in and try to give them something that, you know, they might have already done, or regurgitate something that somebody might have already said. But ultimately, when you show up, you can see what needs they have. You can see what type of characters these kids have. And it ultimately creates this environment of you're learning as much as they're learning when you show up. Because I think, and I think all coaches can say this is one of those jobs that you have to be present. You can't just be on autopilot. You can't just say, hey, go in the game, 5 in, 5 out. You have to actually be there, because there is emotions in this game. So there's happiness, sadness, and you know, it might not seem as serious, but there is blood, sweat, and tears in this game. So ultimately, you know, I think if you want to mitigate all of that and be able to manage the pain and the turmoil that comes from this game, you got to be present. And it doesn't really matter how you feel, because it's about the kids.